Nina and the tall slide. The tallest slide ever. Nina stood at the edge of the playground, her eyes fixed on the slide. Not just any slide, the tall slide. It rose into the sky like a twisty orange tower, with ladders that seemed to touch the clouds and a winding tube that wrapped around like a dragon's tail. Kids zoomed down it, laughing and shrieking, but not Nina. She kept her sneakers firmly on the mulch. "Nope," she whispered to herself. "Not today, not ever." Meet the tall slide crew. At recess, everyone talked about the slide. "Did you see Maya go down backward?" said Jordan. "I did it with my eyes closed," said Sammy. "Let's go again," cheered Zoe. They called themselves the tall slide crew. Nina stayed quiet. She liked the swings, and the reading bench, and the not plummeting through a tube feeling. But when Maya called, "Come on, Nina, you haven't gone yet," all eyes turned her way. I don't feel like it," she mumbled. Why Nina said no? The truth was, like, Nina was scared. Not of heights, not really. It was the whooshing, the speed, the feeling of letting go that made her chest feel tight. She imagined flying down too fast, tumbling out the bottom, everyone staring. No thanks. Even thinking about it made her tummy flip-flop like a pancake. Miss Rosa's encouragement. One day at lunch, Nina's teacher, Miss Rosa, sat beside her. "I heard the slide is still looking pretty tall," she said gently. Nina nodded. Miss Rosa smiled. "Want to hear a secret? I didn't ride a bike until I was 12. Nina blinked. "Really?" "Really, and when I finally did, it felt like flying." Nina looked out the window at the slide. "Maybe I could try the little one first." "That," said Miss Rosa, "sounds like a brave plan." The practice slide. The next day, Nina skipped the swings. Instead, she walked slowly to the short slide on the toddler side of the playground. She sat at the top. It wasn't twisty or tall, but her hands still shook. She counted. 1, 2, 3. Then, She slid down. Her feet hit the mulch. She was safe. And smiling. Again, she whispered. 1 step higher. Each day that week, Nina went a little higher. On Tuesday, she climbed the medium slide. On Wednesday, she tried the bumpy slide. On Thursday, she walked up the first few steps of the tall slide ladder, then climbed back down. But that was okay. Every step was braver than the last. The Friday challenge. Friday came. It was sunny and bright. The perfect slide day. "Want to swing, Nina?" asked Jordan. But Nina shook her head. "Not today." She looked up at the tall slide. Her heart did a double thump. Zoe waved from the top. "You coming?" Nina swallowed. Her legs felt like jelly, but she moved forward anyway. Hand, foot, step, breath. She climbed. At the top, the view was huge. She could see the whole playground. Even Miss Rosa smiling from the bench. Zoe scooted over. "You okay?" Nina nodded slowly. Then her eyes landed on the tunnel. It looked darker than she expected. Longer. What if she got stuck? What if she screamed? What if— "You don't have to," Zoe said gently. "I want to," Nina whispered. "I just don't want to be scared." Zoe smiled. "Then go slow. You're the boss of your slide." The big slide ride. Nina sat down. Hands on the sides, knees in front, feet ready. Her tummy wiggled. 1, 2, 3. She let go. Flash! The tube whooshed and swirled. Wind rushed past her ears. Her heart was pounding, but her eyes were wide. She was moving, really moving. And then, poof! She landed at the bottom in a pile of wood chips and sunlight. The applause. Kids clapped. Jordan whooped. Maya shouted, "Go, Nina!" Zoe slid down right behind her. "You did it!" Nina stood up slowly. She wasn't dizzy, or bruised, or embarrassed. She was
proud.
Miss Rosa waved from the bench. "And Nina smiled back. Final message. Bravery doesn't mean doing it all at once. Sometimes courage comes one little slide at a time.